Writer Stephen J. Cannell is responsible for some of the most famous TV shows of all time, and what a list it is. Beretta, A-Team, 21 Jump Street, Wise Guy Hunter, and of course, Rockford Files, which you can see right here on KVOS Monday through Friday. Mr. Cannell has just put out a new book called Three Shirt Deal. Mr. Cannell, thanks for being a guest on Northwest Notebook. Now, once again, you deal with the adventures of Detective Shane Scully. What do all of your protagonists have in common?
Well, I think, Ty, a lot of them are kind of underdogs a little bit. They tend to be mavericks. Certainly Rockford was, Vinny Terranova and Wise Guy was a maverick. I gravitate, I think, to those kinds of characters. I like to give a character a problem if I can, so Shane certainly has his share of problems that he has to deal with. And he's interesting. There's a family of characters in these novels, and his wife Alexa is the head of the detective bureau of the LAPD. So he basically works for his boss, and he's a very modern guy in that respect. He's not threatened by that at all, but he is constantly causing her trouble because he is sort of a walk alone character, and he will cross the line on occasion, and she's of course in charge of him and eats a lot of the flack.
Now, this is book 13 in the series, is that correct?
It's 13, my 13th novel. I wrote 6 standalone novels, so there are 7 in this series.
How is this one different than the others?
Well, there are a lot of things that are different about it. I mean, each time I visit these characters, I want to come with different things in my mind. In this one, in the last novel, White's Sister, Alexa, his wife, suffered a traumatic brain injury, and now she's back on the job. She's running the detective division. But as often happens with frontal lobe brain injuries, your personality can change. So at the beginning of this novel, she's very different from the woman he married. She's angry a lot. She's not organized what she used to be before. In fact, their relationships have sort of changed. There's a role reversal, whereas he used to be the one always getting in trouble. Now he's trying to watch after her. And, and so I got a chance to revisit this relationship and tell a love story all over again between the two of them, because they have to find, some center ground and eventually fall back in love, because at the beginning of this novel, it's not going well. And the other thing I tried to do in this book was to write a really interesting mystery story. It starts off as a bad due process case, which means that, the Internal Affairs Division investigates investigations that are badly done. And a guy was convicted of killing his mom for $200 in crystal meth, and he's now up in Corcoran State Prison, and he's claiming that his investigation was plumbered by the homicide detectives. So Shane and this Internal Affairs detective, a beautiful Hispanic woman named Cicada Yavar, and obviously that becomes a little bit of a problem because they start to become attracted to one another at a very time when Shane is having trouble at home. And they go ahead and they investigate this bad due process case, and it morphs up into a big city corruption scandal that involves the next mayor of the city, West Side power brokers, the head of the Van Nuys prosecutor's office, and becomes very dangerous for all 3 of them.
Yeah, you use a lot of humor sometimes in your television programs. What about in your books?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I try and put humor in everywhere I can. A lot of times what humor comes out of the execution, out of the writing. They aren't like funny situations, nor were the situations in the TV shows. Even in Greatest American Hero show like that, which was about a guy with a super suit on, I tried to write the mysteries kind of realistically, and the cases that they were involved with realistically. The humor came out of the way the characters spoke and the relationships.
Do you enjoy writing books or writing for the screen more?
I think if I were being told I could only do one, I would choose novels. And the reason for that is that they are more complete projects. My pride of authorship on a novel that I maybe spent half a year working on is greater than it is for an hour of television that I might have written in 4 or 5 days. So yeah, I mean, I think I really love this process of writing books.
Well, I have to ask you, are you surprised by the length of the current writer's strike?
Not really. I mean, I'm not surprised because we're in a situation where we're defining a new marketplace, and there's no trail to follow, no path. So it's going to be a new deal. It's going to have a different way of accounting itself. And whenever you get into those kinds of situations, they are long and contentious. The last one was in '88, and we were dealing with the very new, unheard of market of DVDs, which the studios were claiming, were never going to amount to much, and writers were saying they were, and of course it turned out it was a huge market. Now I'm on both sides of this issue, Ty, as you know, because I own a studio, and I also, all those TV shows you mentioned were produced through my own company. And I'm not, I mean, I had no partners. I wasn't attached to 20th Century Fox or Warner's. It was Cannell Studios. And so I was, whatever happens at the end of the day on this writer's strike, I'm going to be writing the residual checks, but I still think that writers need to get a piece of this emerging market.
Well, Stephen J. Cannell, best of luck with Three Sure Deal, and thanks for being a guest on Northwest Notebook this morning.
Thanks for having me, Ty.